Wahaha! Welcome back to day number 22 of FANGTOBER. Today's piece is Blood Moon, and I'm working digitally today, working on my iPad Pro with Procreate, and I really love this piece. I worked really hard on it, and I feel like my digital art is definitely improving a lot as I work digitally. And I'm really excited. So this piece, I honestly kind of came at it from a coloring book perspective, if I'm 100% honest. A few of these pieces I'm not. I'll kind of make them more interesting as I do them digitally, but for now, this piece, I actually did come at it with a bit of a coloring book approach, and I really, really like the way it came out. I don't know, it makes me really happy, and I really liked it. So I found this reference photo, or I found a photo, and it was like the moon, but it was like being encircled just in a way of trees, like to make it look like an orb being held by like veins or something. Like, it was really cool. So I saved it a long time ago for like another day. And then I was like, you know what? It would be perfect for a blood moon. So I decided to kind of throw that in the background. And then I put a character up in the front, and she's kind of like licking a sword. I imagine she's, about to do or just finished a ritual. And I really love the concept of this piece. And one of my favorite parts about this, though, is the fact that Procreate has a symmetry tool, because I used it on a lot of this piece. Another thing I really like about this piece is the skull lace that she has on the edge of her robe or garment or whatever. And I just think this piece is super fun. I don't know. I really like it. There was a bit of an issue at one point with her nose and mouth. They are just really high up. So I decided to lower them eventually. Yeah, there we go. I lowered them up. And then I start coloring them in. So you'll see that I color her skin and her, like, the moon in, which is like a solid red. But I did that so I could use a clipping mask, so I wouldn't go outside of the coloring layers. And it's easier to use red because I'd made it white. So I could actually see what I was doing while I was using red, and then I could just change the color as I went. So, I initially approached this with a watercolor approach. I'm still a newbie with that. I love how the moon turned out. I think it turned out the best part of like the watercolor, but I ended up like doing her skin a little bit more smooth. I did use a watercolor brush, but it ended up being really smooth. So I need to figure out how to get that watercolor texture. I think that's what's throwing me the most off, is the fact that there's no texture. It's almost like working on hot press, which isn't a problem. It's just, I personally don't like to work on hot press, like in general, like traditionally, so I don't know. But anyway, I think this piece turned out really well. I really just love the colors I chose, and I say the colors I chose, I literally am using a limited palette throughout this entirety of the challenge. But what I mean by that is, like, I really enjoy the way that they were placed in the piece. And of course I did her skin kind of like a pale, like, gray tone, because she did. And I decided to do her hair red because I haven't been doing a lot of red-haired vampires, and I thought that it was just really striking up against like the blood moon and the trees. And then I kind of went from there. So, of course, this is a Procreate speed paint, so you won't see me zooming in and zooming out. I love that they just record the entirety of the canvas, so you don't have to worry about getting sick while you watch it back, because I think that's the worst part for me of watching somebody else's digital speed paint, is it makes me really nauseous when you see them zoom in and zoom out. And I like to work really close to my art. I usually have, Procreate recently did an update where you could have like your reference photo, kind of like a little tiny picture, so you could see it far away while you're zoomed in. And I love that. It's pretty much how I usually do my speed paints, because I like to work really close. And I'm just glad it doesn't film like that, because I probably wouldn't be doing digital art for Inktober, FANGTOBER, because I wouldn't want to make you guys sick. But yeah, a lot of this piece, though, I did pretty simply as far as shading is concerned, like her hair. It was actually just really simple shading, and so was pretty much everything else. I wanted to draw the most attention to her skin and the moon, so I did those more like fun textured and more like obviously like I tried harder, and then everything else is just very like basic. And then I actually threw in a background. I was going to leave it just like this, and then I was like, you know what? The moon doesn't really make much sense until you add like a night sky. So I end up darkening up the background, and I used it's like the symmetry tool, but it's the radial, wherever it, like, I think it splits it into like 6 or 8 sections, and it's easier to make stars that way, because for some reason I don't have a good brush to make stars with. maybe I need to look into something like that. And then I added like the glow of the moon and it just looked really good. So I don't know. I really love this piece and I'm definitely making it a print on Patreon for this month because I'm obsessed. But yeah, I really love the way this piece turned out, and we're actually almost done with the piece, so I'm gonna go ahead and thank you all for watching. If you're not already part of our Cute Squid Pod, there's a subscribe button down below. I'm also posting all of these on social media. Links are in the description, and don't forget to check out my store with all the Halloween goodies. I'm having a Kickstarter come up on November 1st, and my newsletter, which is free, and you'll get news and updates and stuff like that, so join those. And until tomorrow, my adorable squidlings, toodaloo!